Don't worry, we'll get by. It was just over the top. I had a ball when I was there. My kid had just a blast. That seems like it would be a recipe for disaster. Dating has really changed a good bit. Back in the day, I hope that, we didn't wear out our welcome. As fans, they were off the hook. Practice makes perfect. Times kind of escaped me tonight. She confront the double standard in your family. I have been divorced for approximately 3 years. We hit it off and have been together ever since. Your sister was sophisticated, enough to have serial affairs. I'm not worth the money. She would see the fairness of this and suggest it herself. When I was watching TV the other day, the staff never seems to mind that I stay a long time. No one will hurry you. Thank you for your thoughts on it. Got a good deal. She got $10 back in charge. He was fooling around with his ex-wife. I figured that since I did not have a committed relationship with him, I had no place to say anything. Failure always hangs over you. The excuse I got after all of this. I have also dealt with him taking women to hotels, and my gut tells me it was her. I have tried to get over all the cheating. I stand up for myself. I guess the bottom line is, I have never had so much animosity towards two people in my life. I have put myself back in an unhealthy relationship with. She never has to ask for anything regarding that boy. I have to constantly remind him. Resolutions are often broken fairly shortly after they are set. I hooked up with another cheating man. Bowed to their pressure. It happens in the blink of an eye. Will never be accepted in the eyes of traditional society. They have turned a blind eye to it. Everyone should be able to get past it. This makes it hard for me to believe. Our roots are intertwined. Maintaining peak vitality. That's the case in our relationship. No matter how you slice it, it will be perceived as unacceptable. As far as he is concerned, that's fine. Hoping to reach him. I am at a total loss. I don't know who to turn to for advice on this subject. Short on intimacy. Woman hesitates to reveal love, with whom I spend a great deal of time. He is unaware of the intensity of my feelings. I'm afraid of telling him out of fear of rejection. There are a couple of additional concerns. He is considered one of Amerska's most important authors. I strongly suspect that he suffers from OCD. She won't take him to get help. His parents reprimand him for this behavior. My brother won't stand up to her. I'm very picky about how I do my laundry. She took it upon herself to do it. She often takes things the wrong way. She is very strong-willed. Don't meddle in my business. I wash my hands off English. He retrieves something from his car. He is otherwise a likable and helpful neighbor. Our paths don't cross very often. In the normal course of things, we should be concerned about this. You are entitled to your happiness. Mother is frightened by threat of lost custody. He also belittles me whenever he talks to me. I am on a quest for a better livelihood. It's still not what I consider a right livelihood. We have to find a way to shift our mental focus. His football scholarship didn't pan out. Andy's job didn't pan out. This marked the beginning of his immersion into Buddhism. It was a seminal event in his life. He tells her a confessional story. The punch was the catalyst for change. It causes you to build up scenes. At first glance, the mini-stories may seem silly. Everything can change in an instant. Not just at a surface level. The students improved over the course of the semester. These 2 students improved dramatically more than all of the others. They took my advice seriously. This is not an isolated incident. It is common incident. I've never seen this phenomenon so starkly illustrated in person. I am starkly different than Goga. These results are a small but powerful validation. If she likes me, it will be a validation that I am cool. Grandiose delusion. He had a grandiose view of himself. Imagine reality as one entity. You fervently believe you are better than everyone. So much for reality as a noun. I'm finished talking about this subject. So much for reality. I am done with the topic of reality. Does not jibe with. This implies that our task is to seek out new experiences. We should build our capacity to adapt to them. We control, or at least have a strong influence on, external events. Trust yourself to react appropriately when catastrophe happens. Failure of nerve is really failure to trust yourself. Challenging journeys expands our ability. For thought and emotion are the true root causes of these diseases. A way to distract ourselves from these thoughts. The point is, changing our mental focus is the key. Follow your conscience. It consists of a deep and systematic observation. They are having a hard time paying attention. Sometimes it can feel overwhelming. She will come to him not only when she is troubled but when she is delighted. His definition of success has been revised. They've come to be known as Bedouin. That came into wide use after 2010. This is no longer a reasonable explanation. Anna is an outlandish guy. She likes parrying. Play is the essence of creativity. I am convinced that play, fantasy and creativity for its own sake. How that notion of democracy develops. It was actually committed to war. She may not want to see it all at once. When she can just blown you off, it is your job not to mess it up. Must put the foundations under the castle in the air. I saw him through cancer. Look at your son. He is in dire need. I want to have sex more frequently. Longing for more in Chicago. Anna longs for a fella named George. I was done sorting it. Startled in Tbilisi. I startled you. I feel startled. I did the same mind-numbing routine. My parents won't budge. Your parents have been so worldly. I am very interested in pursuing a deeper relationship with this man. He is 15 years my senior. He comes to a stoplight. A red Ferrari pulls up next to him. He looks over at Alan. All right. You're on. Police pull him over. Better luck next time. Become involved with somebody. Neither of us is leaving our spouses or family. Do we try for the 100th time to break away? It may seem odd to hear. I work with the public. I get frequent remarks about what a beautiful woman I am. I don't attract him at all. I have expressed many times. We hesitate to say anything. We get along well. Business expenses are going through the roof. Mom's help is drag on family business. No longer shows me any affection. We have been seeing a therapist, meeting with flirtation banter. I was having an affair. People lived in North Beach at various times in their lives, which is named after the Italian man. It's located near the intersection of Rustavelli and Kakabadze. I tried everything to fit in. Extended family members refused to share dinner table. What broke the camel's back for me was I have betrayed her. We are at family gatherings and our parents are concerned. She seemed to be an okay person. Up to the point when I found out I was pregnant. I have no real proof otherwise. Man that wants to have his cake and eat it too? She's presently engaged to be married to him. They should get a divorce. Trapped in the job. There I was, trapped in a tiny office. Staring at the clock. Does work have to be boring and degrading? The worker's spirit and soul are crushed. I hated the boredom and humiliation, truthfully. This is the major reason I launched this program. I was sick of teaching English. I will pursue my dream. Actually, pursuing the dream terrifies you. It is interpreted as advantageous. To reduce or to eliminate intake of alcohol. Resolutions to eat sensibly. He divided most of his adult life between roaming Australia. His writing often reflects a desire to break free from. He tentatively approaches Sally. Andy is marginalized man. The major emphasis of my business plan is visualization aids memory. This will trigger your memory. I retell exaggerated stories. You will more readily remember the words. Geo's best-known works are. This is a little surprising and unsettling. I glance over the test scores. Their post-test scores show a big jump. Jin followed a different approach. It was still thrilling to see this knowledge illustrated quantitatively, in such dramatic fashion, by my own students. But are they solely responsible? These people have abandoned their conscience. We should disobey unjust laws. Vipassana has many variants. The course is very intense. I felt centered. How do we use change to enhance our lives? People make it hard for us to adapt quickly when circumstances change. People often label the surprises as failures. Your thinking is grounded in the real world. We should embrace interesting failures to enjoy the ride. A new breed of worker. People are typically armed with laptops. This cafe is the most popular North Beach hangouts. Hyper-intelligent geeks. It is the centerpiece of the event. If you look up democracy in the dictionary, I hope I don't get swept off my feet. I need some space. I'm really into my career. I don't want to hurt your feelings. My job is to open her eyes. Just needs the right broom. If you're outgoing, be outgoing. I don't think they're really me. Men want to screw anything that walks. They're going out with someone. He seek to find his place. My eyes are drawn to two sets of numbers. He was drawn to her. We must all face life-changing challenges. The questions can relieve chaos. Success often just reinforces your old ideas. You bump into Brad Pitt. As I exhaled, I felt a deep sense of calm wash through me. He has admitted that it responds to directions. The company asserts that it took him a long time to land on that word, thriving. England, which largely expresses this point of view. He restated it more vividly. That was the moment I broke through. Then you can return to extensive reading. The questions increase your exposure to these new words. I identified the common thread. He was profoundly marked by the death of his elder brother. It is a deep and profound human need. Initially I continued to meditate. His words were at odds with the actions. The ability to access the full range of information. Relationships are evolving rapidly. Accounting is druggery. He sees the waitress and calls her over to his table. In fact, so-called failures are often more valuable. She usually ends up going to bed at 1 a.m. She sleeps until 3 p.m. He's ready to get into bed. She is let go for her mistake. Excuse me. Can you check on my food, please? The employee who spilled the coffee is a new hire. How do we figure it out without getting angry and resenting each other? He pushes his card up to the cashier in the checkout line. He would consider this approach excessively irrational. The attachment to wealth. I'll make a bet with you. I guess it's not so far-fetched. One thing that stands out in my mind is learning how to cook. Then suddenly it dawned on me that I had left it in the pocket. Avoid the foreign language at all costs. The giants give him a big raise. He bursts into the class. You'll be better off with someone at least 13 years old. Besides, you don't have a boyfriend. Why should I? I've decided that I'm going to be a matchmaker when I grow up. I'm going to kick them out. It's famous for its green peanut butter. It's time for you two to take responsibility. I fall on the floor and act as if I'm having a seizure. The doctor examines me. The waitress'll be with you shortly. He puts down the menu. He waves his hands to get the waitress' attention. No. That's it. He is supposed to protect the sheep. It turns out that he only ate food made from pumpkin. Lemon Dog wants to throw a party. They will love his party as long as all the food is made from lemons. He doesn't know how to deal with it. The cashier has a crush on him. I need to come up with a way to kill mosquitoes. In order to kill mosquitoes, you must eat garlic. The agent recognizes you. Here is your new boarding pass. You go to the gate to catch your flight. I can't go on like this. She grabs a cab and goes to another motel. At last, she's able to relax. Her vacation finally works out. According to him. Finally, his friend says to him, "Come on. Get a grip. I'll be right there. Make sure they are large cups. No more whining. Just do it. Rescuers discover Buffy right away. Julia and Betsy were about to eat lunch at Taco Bell. Inga's cakes are to die for. As a matter of fact, he only eats food that is made from lemons. On his way to the store, he has to get through a long line of traffic. I go with spraying. If I were you, you want to boost up your energy. They'll bring your energy back up. He said, most workers are petrified to break the rules. You need to have repetition with intensity. You develop the competence for more demanding purposes. Most workers are afraid to blow it. Put everything you've got into everything you do. I believe there are fundamental character traits that cause success. Passion will ensure your success. These people have a reason that drives them to do more. Passion gives these people fuel. People with passion have big breakthroughs in their life, in proportion as you simplify your life. Life will be easier. They approach their edge. How to get way over the edge of both service and pricing. I earn a living by teaching English. Take into consideration, I have an hour or 2 hours set aside for exercise every day. You set aside money, then you save money. Running generates reliable and everlasting energy. I worked until a meltdown forced me to stop working. You will enjoy the inevitable spurts of progress. You want to be in tune with your body, in tune with your movements. He doesn't beat himself up. There are also medical implications to whether we think of others. You lose touch with honor. You can also lose touch with a person. Happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. You want to find a lot of wholesome influences. He's a very wholesome person. Why are goals worthwhile? Bear with me while I ask more questions. I dare you. Tribes are grounded in respect and admiration for the leader. The law of aspiration. Let's face it. You can't create success without working your face off. The only controllable thing you have is your work ethic. You need to deploy a serious self-awareness. I compare with what I am capable of. You can't pursue success. You have to develop. You expand your life massively. No one's ever really encouraged them. It takes courage to be different. Pain is inevitable. Detach yourself from negativity. Sustainable habits. Life rewards those who initiate. I am stuck in a vicious cycle. I live by faith in this assumption. They want an applause from the audience. We must first be able to define success. They were willing to make short-term sacrifices to gain long-term success. What is your glorious vision? Don't let them fade. Thanks for stopping by. Don't jinx me. How can I put it? I suppose to. I am well aware. Feeling left out. I am hard on myself. Get my shit together. Kids are going to pick up on you. I am trying to lighten your mood. Unreliable person. I am on my best behavior. You are persistently bigger than your excuses. You are resilient. You should have boundaries. You should eliminate toxic people. I should consume lots of personal development. This is not the special occasion for that. Your darkest times give you the most clarity. I seek revenge. When you get to the point that you should work hard. I am really frustrated and irritated. Everything is working in your favor. Shift your awareness to the bigger picture. More likely it is to manifest itself. Everybody doesn't deserve to have that type of access to you. You will sabotage yourself. This occurs to you. My friends mistreated me. This is happening on a day-to-day basis. My starting point. Most normal jobs in the world are monotonous. This situation is absurd. High rates of meat consumption are associated with cancer. If you have built castles in the air, your work is not lost. Modify the picture. We often filter our experiences through our beliefs. References, example. You also have to fight against inertia. We can embrace ideas. You must embrace being a champion. There is on failure. There is only feedback. Contrast these two shirts. Repetition is vital for mastery. Ah, I get it. They don't want to invent instructions. Ultimately, you must study every day. You are empowering Goga. You are best. The book has an underlying philosophy of getting rich. The profound difference between seeking wealth and seeking liberation. Simplicity is the core of my approach to financial liberation. Buddhist is mainly interested in liberation. If you simplify drastically, easier to do the things you always put off doing. That, however, is a very shallow idea of success. Kindness and compassion are important ingredients for true success. You help people relax and you relieve their muscle pain. Make a list of things you are passionate about. I deliberately chose not to teach writing. I got in trouble at jobs because of this. You must decide that your long-term success is more important. Everyone else is petrified of being different. How do you move up? Identify your strong points. Strive to be different than everyone else. Anyone else in your household working. All their money goes out to expenses and liabilities. Nothing is left to invest in assets. Your business is an asset if it is profitable. Still maintain your standard of living. At the same time you stay firmly grounded in reality. Looking in our rear-view mirror, we can always say, of course that worked. By definition, choice 2 is the path of excellence. This is the way to live a vibrant, exciting, wonderful life. Lately, I've changed my tune. They maintained a long-term vision. They believed in delayed gratification. How do you convince your team to try something remarkable? You follow the Tom Peters way to create lasting. You need to find flesh and blood people. Intelligently buying real estate. A demo is a trial project. Eventually, your demo evolves into a complete. Eliminate all debts which do not generate a profit. And most people desire not to stand out. You're set. My concern is liberation. I knew it would be this long-winded lecture. It really wasn't a gender-specific trait in my family. I was running against the clock. They must have cut down the fine then. I'm trying not to have a chip on my shoulder about it, so it's probably shredded. It's probably done. You do run into a lot of temptation there. High blood pressure runs in my family. They had that kind of money. Could be gambling, which makes it easier for you to lose track of time. You met a pretty girl, then maybe it's time to go get hitched. We had already gone our separate ways. An outstanding father. They'll bend over backwards to do whatever they can for you. Hands down. That was the best concert. At that point that I began to weigh the pros and cons of meat eating. I just couldn't fully get into Beck. I danced my ass off. It was like he was screaming at the top of his lungs. Knickers at one point were back in style. All the kids are getting familiar with each other. She enjoyed meeting you and getting to know you. Now in looking back, I think it was really a blessing in disguise. It's definitely on my list of things to do. For sure. The wait just got out of hand. He just was having the time of his life. He must have been psyched to see. They'll always shower you with attention. When I look back on the years I spent, they're all clean-cut looking. These people who live in this town, they would just suddenly jump to conclusions about what you were doing. It sounds like it was a very bonding experience. He didn't seem nearly as enthused about it. He knew what was up, so they actually picked you up? It was my way or the highway. I mean, it's water under the bridge at this point. Well, to top it off then, I also realized, it's kind of the culmination of the event. Every once in a while, where you been hidden? I can't believe you didn't make it, but it's all worked out. It was worth it. Get out of here. You never told me that. I didn't actually know that I would end up in Prague. You were headed to Prague at that point. Before I got kind of sick of it. Well, it's a big deal. I just kind of went with the flow of what was happening. Looking back, I only really came to see all the sacrifices my parents made. I feel like I woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I'm assuming this is your first offense. I don't want to badmouth them. Guy break down and cry. Man, they just kinda threw their lives away almost just gambling. That just stay in your mind like the sounds. The smell. You really make me feel at home. Ricky's mother gets a shot of Mick Jagger. She's been really looking for someone. That was the first person she went out with. I have a friend that I am no longer in touch with. Before we lost touch, I can remember her telling me a story. That guy cracks me up. It was totally a different story then. Behind closed doors. That's her second offense in the last year. She didn't hit anybody. Thank goodness. I want to cover a few things. It's sort of the foundation of our teaching method. They have this assumption that practice is important. Techniques that really seem to click with me. Teachers in schools just keep doing the same crap. I just wanted to call and see what you were up to. Sorry I had to cut off that last call. We're on the same page when it comes relationship, he told me. He's finally seen the light. I'm sure she probably played a major role. As a rule, I usually don't bring up the topic. That for me was just a real turnoff. It pretty much just goes in one ear and out the other. I first started to learn about vegetarian by word of mouth. I had a really rough time. This was the first time ever someone played it dark. You travel around. I'd run into the same people. The same person. You really can't believe your eyes. You're probably starting from scratch. Have the kids been into it so far? They had sat my grandmother down and given her an ultimatum. Make a list of pros and cons. I was wondering what the deal was with the fences. She's a little bit stressed out. My mom and my uncle have their hands full right now. Grandmother's doctor confronted her and said, there have been quite a few more things concerning my mom and uncle. Tickets cost an arm and a leg. It draws their eye. Once they've made up their mind to do something. I thought this kind of came out of the blue. That'll make the transition easier. Yeah. I bet. I'm thinking to myself, hey, check this out. You've gotta be kidding. Yeah, that makes sense. And all of a sudden it just felt like, this shift. Yeah. Yeah, totally. I've been living here for a while now. It was, taking place in San Francisco. Very surreal feel. You were really able to let go. It's just wonderful to take advantage of it. I'm going to make my best effort to get up there. Alright. Take care, my friend. She was actually feeling under the weather last week. Did she just have a cold or something? There was something going around. She might have caught it from one of them. I get like transported back to the time when we used to live. That was a bummer for us at the time. My mom's parents lived around us. Did Tim call while I was out? He spent on the road with the Grateful Dead. She went into labor before the midwife could even arrive. I'm just fed up with the healthcare. There are definitely some downsides to that. The costs would just be out of control. We'll just write it off. I'll tell you what, ironically enough, my older brother had an easier time adapting. Maybe now's the time to give it a shot. It's just second nature. She kinda needs someone 24/7. I really feel for your mom. Did she make it home okay? She pretty much just was able to go with the flow. She thoroughly enjoyed. You can take for granted living here. She's always up for a drink. They're so much more authentic. I have dedicated so much of time. We persist in our attempts to control life. I will persist until I find my passion. You'll get teaching proficiency through reading and storytelling. Students could become proficient enough to hold a conversation in the language. Criticism comes to those who stand out. In particular, in what sense of democracy do we want? If work were such a splendid thing, the rich would have kept more of it for themselves. They said they were in over their heads festival where basically anything goes. The traffic's out of hand. 2. The notion that reality is a noun derives from the fact he can be a flake sometimes. If it's not enough to keep your eyes on the kids the whole time. You could see delight on his face. I was in over my head.